All right, Chargers in Arrowhead on Sunday night. Kansas City laying 3.5. 3.5, pretty big spread considering what's going on with Kansas City and the history of this team within the division. Kansas City went into L.A. earlier in the year, I think won 17-10. Where's your head at here, Al's brother? What's your tremendous information? Chargers, Chiefs, Kansas City laying 3.5.
Like it's tough because at some point you just think that Kansas City's going to turn it around, but we've gone to that well so many times, Hazy B, where we thought this has to be the week. It's got to be, and it hasn't been. And last week they damn near lost to the Vegas Raiders, a terrible football team. Their coach literally said that they were awful like 4 days before the game, and they only won because they screwed up and fumbled it while in scoring position. I just don't think I can take the Kansas City Chiefs and more than a field goal here. I think the Chargers are a good football team. Harbaugh's got them playing really well, but it's more so that Kansas City has been quite fraudulent. This is maybe the most fraudulent 11, 12-1 team I've ever seen in my life. Look at the last 4 weeks. Hayes, look at the last 4 weeks,
Noodles.
okay?
Noodles knows.
It's insane.
Scares me, man.
They beat Vegas by 2. Seriously lucky. They beat Carolina only by a field goal. They lost to Buffalo by 9. And they only beat Denver because they got a nice blocked kick at the end of the game. They are not a good team. This offense is only averaging 23 points. I think that the Chargers could definitely get to at least 20 to keep it to within a field goal. I'd want to take the points
Scares
here.
me, man.
I'm going to say just one thing, and I think Luke is probably going to concur. Like, the thing is they win, and they know how to win. It doesn't – like, I've played on teams that were really good where it was like – we just did enough to win that night, and that's kind of what I said.
That helps. That's what I think they'll win the game. I just don't think they'll win by 4.
Last night.
Exactly.
I feel like, you saying they're fraudulent. I'm concerned about that.
Right.
That concerns
There's a famous story.
Imagine
Imagine
calling an 11-1 team that is back-to-back Super Bowl champions fraudulent. That's your partner, Hayes.
It scares
you
me,
don't
man.
think that we're +1 Monday night? You're out of your mind right now.
Well, there's a story that you can
them
find online where Kevin Garnett was a rookie in the NBA, and they're in Minnesota. They're playing the Bulls, and J.R. Ryder's like giving it to. He's just cooking Jordan, cooking him through 2 quarters, 3 quarters. He's on him, and KG's talking smack to MJ. He's like, "Go get this dude. You got this guy. He ain't nothing. He ain't nothing." And MJ just looks at them and goes, "Really?
Okay.
All right, watch this." And he put up like 30 in the fourth quarter. They lapped him. They spanked him. I feel like Al's brother just pulled a Kevin Garnett and just told Kansas City, "You're frauds, and you got nothing, and you suck." And the Chargers are going to lap you. And now KC's going to hear this and absolutely dummy this team on Sunday night. That is my concern, Al's brother, the gut instinct. Yet,
that I have motivated Kansas City.
You have personally called them out like Kevin Garnett and J.R. Ryder did to Michael Jordan back in the day. But I'm with you on this. I think you got to take the points, man. They beat the Raiders, Carolina by an aggregate of 5 points. They barely beat the Broncos. They shouldn't have. Brilliant play. Blocked a field goal. Bad kick. Still, every game is close, man. They don't blow teams out, and I think Harbaugh's got that team believing in L.A. I think he's got that defense cooking in L.A. Chargers always seem to play well at Arrowhead, regardless of who the coach is. I think Harbaugh is going to hype this team up to believe that it's the Super Bowl for these guys. I think it's a tough, like, lower-scoring game. I think it's like 21-18 or something like that, and I think you take the points. If it was 3, it might be different. If it was 2.5, it might be different. 3.5, lock in the Chargers, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, and
lock it in, boys. 23-17, Chiefs win. I cannot wait for Monday.
I know. Listen, man, it's amazing how like 5 or 6 picks swing you the other way.
I know.
And you just start thinking, what is
happening?
We
felt so great. American Thanksgiving, we felt good, didn't we?
Peaks and valleys, right? The peaks and valleys of what you're going. I got to be honest, and this I don't want to like. This is no laughing matter whatsoever. If anything, it's a very super serious thing. But Hayes, you've mentioned that like that killer in New York,
assassin in New York, yeah.
Does Luke? I swear to God, there are people that have written.
I look like
that.
him.
I was like, my Lord, he looks like Luke.
Luke's
I don't
face.
know. the
Yeah,
face.
what's up with that,
You're-
man? Do you want to say anything publicly right now if the FBI is listening?
I do.
this
I'm
is-
glad you brought that
It's
up.
no laughing
Out of
matter. I'm
nowhere.
not trying to bring a joke.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like,
No.
when I first
My
saw
phone
that,
is exploding.
I was like, that looks like Luke Wilson. I'm like, what is going on? Like, it's just, it's
All
only
right,
one
let him
angle.
address it. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Luke.
go
What
ahead.
are you hearing? Like, you're not getting,
Noodles,
people aren't
I'm
tapping
not
your
gonna lie
phones or
to you.
something.
You're not, like, all of my boys from Windsor have been like, dude, are you at TSN right now or are you in New York? And I'm like, why? What are you talking about? They sent me that thing, and
Crazy
I'm like,
story, man. Well,
The
like
good
I said
news
it.
is I think there's a lot of security cameras around the TSN premises that should be able to account for my whereabouts because I spend an ungodly amount of time up there.
We
So
can
I should be
confirm
good.
that. Yes.
Yeah, we can
you have an
confirm.
alibi in us. Al's brother and I will come to your defense. But that's
Crazy.
I was saying earlier, man, I was referencing how they got the picture of the guy because he was talking to some woman on the way out of a hostel.
Unbelievable.
He couldn't help himself.
What a putz.
He had the mask on the whole time, and then one woman starts talking him up, and he's like, I got to get the mask off to talk to her. And now he's going to get caught. It's crazy. Like, it's a crazy
story.
turn of events.
It is crazy. Story.
And New York is so wild, man. It just goes on. Like, I've seen people write, someone was telling me that they were down there, like, this week, and they're like, I was just walking around. You wouldn't even know what was going on. Like, it just,
At least 6 or 7 news stories after that day.
Oh, constantly.
Yeah.
All right, picks are in. I don't know if any of us feel good about any of them, but we're on the Vikings, and we're on the Chargers, and you guys are on the Seahawks. Best of luck.
I love
Cheers,
the
boys.
Vikings. Love the Vikings.
Cheers.
Skol!
Love it, Partsy. Come on, Partsy. Let's make something happen this weekend. We need a big
it.
turn of events. I
Skol,
cannot
baby.
wait for it. There it is. Luke Wilson, Al's brother. Jonas Siegel coming up on the Leaf weekend ahead. Capitals tonight, Penguins tomorrow, and our best bet still to come as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. It's brought to you by Boston Pizza's new game day menu. Stop by your local BP for $7 touchdown pints, shareables for the whole crew, and weekly prizing up for grabs. Football game days are better at your local BP. Best bets later in the hour. Leafs Capitals tonight on TSN 4. Leafs in Pittsburgh tomorrow. Here's our buddy Jonas Siegel from The Athletic. Jonas, it's been quite the week for the Leafs. In terms of the goaltending battle, you and I were talking about it earlier this week. You know, Joseph Wall may be wanting some more time. Maybe Anthony Stolarz wants some more time. But I guess Berube and company, they followed your lead here. And it doesn't matter how the guy played the previous night. The other guy's going to go whenever the next game is.
Because they just don't want to ask for trouble, right? That's the whole
Exactly.
thing. They don't want to gamble. I mean, why? This is what they should do, right? Like, they should just keep rotating. So Stolarz plays tonight, Wall plays Saturday, then they play in Jersey on Tuesday. So I would think that that's Stolarz. And then they come home, they play Anaheim, that's Wall. Like, why not just keep this going? Like, you have two guys who have never, taken even a half season workload before in the NHL. Keep this going as long as you can until it becomes a situation where one of them is not playing as well or one of them gets hurt and you have to kind of alter your plan. I just think it's working. I don't know why you're so against it. I don't get it.
No, I listen, it's working very, very well. I'm just saying, I mean, Noodles, you can speak to it at some point. Maybe one of these guys would say, give me an opportunity to run off 3 in a row. 4 in a row and show I can be a number one at some point.
I think that's the case, but we're only 25 games in, so we're not even a third of the season, so we're close to a third, but not. But, I think you allow this to play out, and then if, Craig Berube will have a tough decision. Here's the biggest thing. If this is like this in March, and then you're heading into April, that's where you're going, okay, who do you trust? Who's our opponent? What's their career record look like? Now you start digging deeper into the numbers, how you want to play, who the team, again, they'll know behind closed doors, who the team trusts maybe a little bit more, who plays the puck differently. There is some factors that will come in, but it's still early on. And Jonas, I do agree with you that you can go back and forth, allow them to play, but you can allow them to sort this out through the process. Anthony Stolarz has never started more or played in more than 28 games in a season. And what is Joseph Wall's high? I think it's probably around the same thing. I would have to check, but that's in his career, right? It's less.
Yeah,
it's
the
in his
NHL
career
would be
total.
less.
It was 36 coming into the season.
Right.
So I think there is a lot of time to sort this out, but I keep coming back to it, and Jonas, you can wait. it's a good problem to have because
Keep
you're
winning,
not
man.
you're
They're
not
playing
worried
great.
about like, geez, I don't trust this guy or this guy's hurt and what's going on, and you're calling this guy up, and it's always been. I've always felt like the Leafs have had on their chart like 5 goalies that they've used in a season, or more. It feels like that. This year it's 3.
Well, and if you think back to last year, like what was going on, like it was right around this time, like Ilya Samsonov was placed on waivers, I think on New Year's Eve or like January 1st, something like that. And then Wall, I think, got hurt like right around now last year. Like think how the crease was in previous years, like how disorderly it was, how chaotic it was. And like eventually I think it'll, like what Noodles is saying, like it'll just take care of itself. Like one guy is going to eventually, or maybe not eventually, but one guy might dip at some point. One guy might get hurt. Or like if you're lucky, like you'll just, I guess luck is how you see it, but you get what Boston had, where it's like Allmark and Swayman, and like you just have 2 guys going back and forth. You don't have to overplay either one. You get great goaltending every night. It doesn't really seem to matter. And then the playoffs come around, and then you have this really difficult decision, awkward decision, and there's not really a right answer. But I think that's like the best possible outcome for them. They get to the playoffs, and they have to pick one of 2 guys who are both playing well.
The Toronto Maple Leafs may be taking a new approach to salary management, which could directly impact Mitch Marner's contract negotiations. During Kyle Dubas' tenure as general manager, the team didn't hesitate to spend heavily, and this trend began with a 6-year extension signed by Marner in 2019. At the time, Marner's $10.9 million annual cap hit set the market for superstar wingers, surpassing comparable players like Mikko Rantanen of the Colorado Avalanche, who signed a 6-year deal with a $9.25 million annual cap hit. Now, however, times seem to be changing. TSN's Pierre Lebrun recently reported that the Maple Leafs have implemented an internal salary cap, aiming to ensure no player earns more than captain Austin Matthews, who signed a 4-year extension worth $13.25 million per season in August 2023. The team's primary concern revolves around Marner's agent, Darren Ferris, who, according to Lebrun, might push for a percentage of the total salary cap instead of a fixed dollar amount. This could result in Marner's cap hit exceeding Matthews' $13.25 million, conflicting with the Leafs' new financial strategy. Ferris is known for driving negotiations to the limit, often taking his clients to free agency. This raises fears that discussions between Marner and the Leafs could drag on until July 1st, giving Marner and his camp all the leverage in negotiations. Another complicating factor is the rising market. Lebrun noted that Mikko Rantanen believes he could secure $14 million per season as a free agent. This sparks the question, could Marner demand even more? And would Ferris take that gamble, knowing the Leafs might opt to move on and sign another player? Marner has made it clear on multiple occasions that Toronto is where he wants to be. As a local player with deep ties to the city, he's expressed his desire to spend his entire career wearing the blue and white of the Leafs. However, staying with the team may require him to accept less than market value, especially if the front office remains committed to its new salary structure. Such a sacrifice could be vital for the team's collective success and to avoid financial issues that have plagued the recent past. While negotiations are still in the early stages, it's evident that Marner's future with the Leafs is at stake. Maple Leafs fans may need to prepare for the possibility of significant changes, but they can also trust in the player's commitment to the city and the franchise to find a compromise. The Maple Leafs' decision to implement an internal salary cap reflects a broader shift in their team-building philosophy. After years of prioritizing top-end talent with hefty contracts, the organization appears determined to strike a balance between superstar contracts and depth throughout the roster. This strategy aims to avoid the pitfalls of past seasons, where a lack of financial flexibility often left the team vulnerable in critical playoff moments. For Mitch Marner, this shift creates a unique challenge. On one hand, his value to the Leafs is undeniable. A consistent top scorer and elite playmaker, Marner has been instrumental in driving the team's offense. On the other hand, his ability to command a salary that rivals or exceeds Austin Matthews could put the Leafs in a difficult position, especially with a potential need to strengthen other areas of the roster. As the 2023-24 season progresses, the Leafs must weigh the potential consequences of sticking to their cap philosophy. Losing a homegrown talent like Marner would undoubtedly sting for fans and the organization alike. However, allowing one player to dictate financial terms beyond the team's structure could hinder long-term success and force painful sacrifices elsewhere. Adding to the complexity is the looming free agency of William Nylander. If the Leafs are to stick to their internal salary cap, they may also face challenges in retaining Nylander, who could command a significant raise. Balancing contracts for both Marner and Nylander within the new framework could prove to be the ultimate test for Toronto's management team. Another factor at play is the team's ultimate goal, winning the Stanley Cup. While star players like Marner and Matthews are crucial, history has shown that depth and balanced rosters often prevail in the postseason. If the Leafs fail to manage their finances effectively, they risk falling short of building a championship-caliber team, even with elite talent. For Marner, the decision to stay with the Leafs might come down to more than just dollars. His connection to the city, the fans, and his teammates could be deciding factors. If he prioritizes legacy and loyalty over maximizing earnings, there's a strong possibility that he'll work with the team to find a deal that benefits both parties. Negotiations will also test Darren Ferris, known for his hardline tactics in securing lucrative deals for his clients. While pushing for top dollar is expected, Ferris may need to weigh the risks of alienating the Leafs management and fanbase. A prolonged stalemate could damage Marner's relationship with the team and its supporters. The Leafs management, led by general manager Brad Treliving, faces a pivotal moment. Treliving's reputation as a negotiator and team builder will be on full display as he navigates this high-stakes scenario. Striking the right balance could solidify his tenure in Toronto, while a misstep might set the team back for years. For Maple Leafs fans, the coming months will be filled with anticipation and uncertainty. Marner's future, along with the team's ability to stay competitive under financial constraints, will likely dominate conversations as the season unfolds. Supporters can only hope that the team's new approach leads to greater playoff success and, ultimately, the elusive championship. In the end, the outcome of these negotiations could redefine the Maple Leafs' identity for years to come. Whether it results in retaining Marner or reshaping the roster, the team's commitment to an internal salary cap signals a clear focus on long-term sustainability. Fans will be watching closely, hoping for a resolution that keeps the team's core intact and their championship dreams alive. As the negotiations with Mitch Marner progress, another layer of complexity is added by the external competition in the NHL market. Teams with more cap space and fewer restrictions could easily present lucrative offers to Marner if he reaches free agency. The Leafs are not only negotiating with Marner but also indirectly competing with other franchises willing to outbid them for his services. One example of this is Mikko Rantanen, whose potential $14 million value on the open market highlights the growing demand for elite wingers. If Rantanen secures such a deal, it could set a precedent that Marner's camp would use as leverage. The Leafs, however, must remain disciplined, as breaking their internal salary cap for Marner could lead to similar demands from other key players down the line. The looming specter of free agency means the Leafs have a limited window to strike a deal. If negotiations drag on into the off-season, the leverage shifts heavily in favor of Marner and his agent. Darren Ferris, known for his strategic patience, could use this to push for maximum value, putting even greater pressure on the Leafs management to make a decision. This scenario also places significant pressure on head coach Sheldon Keefe. Managing a team amid ongoing contract uncertainty can disrupt chemistry and focus. Keefe will need to ensure that the team remains united and focused on their performance, even as the media and fans speculate about Marner's future. Meanwhile, the Leafs core group, including Austin Matthews, Morgan Rielly, and John Tavares, will likely play a role in influencing Marner's decision. The camaraderie among the players and their collective drive for a championship could persuade Marner to accept a deal that aligns with the team's financial structure. On the flip side, the Leafs could explore contingency plans if a deal with Marner doesn't materialize. Trading Marner would be a bold move, but it could bring significant assets in return, potentially bolstering the team in areas like defense or secondary scoring. This option, while unpopular with fans, might be necessary to maintain roster balance. The timing of these decisions is also critical. With the trade deadline months away, the Leafs must assess whether keeping Marner without an extension risks losing him for nothing in free agency. A preemptive trade could avoid this scenario, but it would also signal a significant shift in the team's short-term goals. Fan sentiment will undoubtedly influence the team's approach. Marner is not just an exceptional player, he's a fan favorite and a symbol of homegrown talent succeeding in Toronto. Losing him could lead to backlash, especially if the team struggles in the aftermath of his departure. The broader NHL landscape also plays a role. As other teams navigate their own salary cap challenges, the Leafs can learn from their successes and failures. Organizations like the Tampa Bay Lightning and Vegas Golden Knights have shown the value of balancing star power with depth, offering a potential blueprint for Toronto's future.